Hi everyone, this is Miss Farah over here. How are you guys doing? I know. Okay, so in today's class, this is just a recorded session to replace your class in week one, which fell under a public holiday. So basically, this is just a recording to replace that class that was supposed to have a class. Okay, so in today's class, we shall be looking at subject verb agreement. Now, what basically subject verb agreement is, and I think a lot of you guys have perhaps know this, and maybe you guys have learned this in probably in your primary school or maybe in high school, but subject verb agreement is the fundamental, most basic grammar rules that they are in English language, and that is what we're gonna look at in today's class. Okay, are you guys ready? Let's do this. So, generally speaking, when it comes to writing English sentence, okay, when trying to construct an English sentence in the voice of an active voice, okay, so when it comes to an active voice, what does it mean? It means that the subject has to be in front, and we want to focus on the person who is doing the activity or the action itself. So generally speaking, in simple sentences in English language, we say that to make or to construct an English sentence, we need a subject, we need a verb, and also we need an object or idea of the whole sentence. Okay, so that is the formula of an English language in an English sentence. All right. Now we need a subject, we need a verb, and we need an object and an idea. And it has to follow the sequence. You need a subject first, then you need a verb, then you need an object or an idea. That makes an English sentence. So in English, there are some general rules, as I mentioned just now. There are some general rules that we call as subject-verb agreement. What it basically means that the subject has to follow the verb has to always follow the subject itself. Okay, and these are some of the reminders on English rules that you have to follow. I think there are about more than 10, definitely more than 10, but we'll go through one by one, and hopefully after this lesson today, you will be able to be reminded again, to remember again those basic grammar rules, because it's important. Okay, now, before we start, I want everybody here to take out a piece of paper, or if you have a book, okay, so if you have a book, which you should be having, okay, take out your book, take out a piece of paper, and I want you to try and do these three questions. Now, we have here one, two, and three. Three questions over here, and doesn't matter if it's correct or incorrect, or you don't know or you know, okay, just give it a shot, okay, try this, try and pause this video. All right, pause this video and then try and do it. Which one do you think is correct? And hopefully at the end of the class today, we're going to come back at these questions. And after hearing my lecture, hopefully you will be able to know already which one is correct and which one is incorrect. All right, now please pause this video and try and do this yourself. Okay, I hope you have done it. I'm not too sure if you did it or not. Okay, God knows. But let's move into the next our agenda, which is on the rules itself. Okay, as I said just now, we're gonna come back at those questions and we're gonna compare if you got it right or wrong, or maybe you just knew it. Okay. Now, the first rule is that the subject and the verb must agree in number. Okay, as I mentioned just now, the subject and the verb must agree in number itself. So when the subject is singular, when we say singular, it means that it's only one thing. Okay, one. All right, so when your subject is singular, your verb has to be singular as well. So how do we create a singular verb? It's by putting s at the end of it if it is written in present tense. So if the sentence is referring to present tense, you have to put s after the verb itself. So what are singular subjects? He, she, it, or anybody's name that is one person. Okay, Farah, Chongwei, whoever it is, okay, one person that is the singular or that is the subject and it's one person, you have to have a singular verb. Now, the next rule that we have, it's totally the opposite of what we had just now. So if the subject now has more than one person, okay, plural, the verb has to be plural as well. So plural verb basically means that you don't put s after it. So you retain the original verb itself. Okay. Now I have created this. I have created this table just so that it's easier for you guys to do it. Okay. So for singular subject are he, she, it, and anybody that is one person, my friend, my lecturer at INTI International University. Okay, so any subject that is one person, your verb needs to add s behind for present tense. Okay, so he likes rice, she likes rice, it likes rice. My lecturer at INTI University likes rice. All right. Now this is the singular subject. Now what about plural now? So what are plural subjects? We have I, you, they, we, or anybody's name or anyone there are more than one. Okay. So my friend and I, our gang. Okay. The lecturer at INTI International, the lecturers at INTI International University. So if you have plural subjects like this, you retain, okay, you maintain the same root verb. You don't do anything with it. So I like rice, you like rice, they like rice, we like rice, my friend and I like rice. Okay, so I'm pretty sure these are something that you have known before since high school, since primary school, since kindergarten, whatever it is. This is like the basic grammar, and a lot of people often do it wrong, especially when talking, and it's fine because we are not native speakers, but you need to aware and to know that it's wrong. It's supposed to be she likes reading. All right, so make sure that you know this, especially when it comes to writing, because when it comes to writing there's no excuse in it, and a lot of my students, they often did this wrong. Okay, come back again on this and remember this table. All right, now moving forward, we have the third rule right now. The third rule is when the subject of the sentence has two or more nouns or pronouns and connected by the word and. Okay, the conjunction and, you need to use a plural verb. Okay, so going back again, just now we have subject, we have verb, we have object. So if we were to observe the first sentence here, the students and the lecturer write essays every day. So here, subject, verb, object. So if you guys are confused about subject, verb, object, my rule of thumb is basically go and find the verb first. So here, the students and the lecturer write essays every day. So I go and find the verb. Obviously, the verb is write. Okay, so I would know that anything that comes before it is the subject. Okay, the students and the lecturer are now the subjects. So if your subject has and, the conjunction and, please use the plural verb. Okay, use plural verb. So here it's plural in a sense that it's the original verb. Do not put s. Okay. All right. Same goes here. The percentage of employees who called in sick and the number of employees who left their job within 2 years are reflective of the level of job satisfaction. Do you see that? So the first subject we have here, the percentage of the employees who called in sick. one thing. And another one, the number of employee who left their job within 2 years. So two things over here are using the plural verb reflective of the whole level of job satisfaction. All right, got it? Moving forward, our fourth rule right now. Okay, fourth rule. Now, if you think that I'm going too fast, please do pause this video and then go back again and repeat back on what I have said, or basically read back on the slides. All right, now the fourth rule that we have now is that when one subject, okay, when you have one subject and just now we had two subjects, am I right? Now we have one subject, but we have more than one verb. Okay, there are some cases that you want to emphasize on the same people who are doing it, but you want to say that they are doing different things. Okay? When that is the case, all of the verbs that you use must be consistent, must follow the same verb. Okay, now how do we do that? For example, here, let's have a look at this first example here. We say that interviews are one way to collect data and allow researchers to gain in-depth understanding of participants. All right, now let's observe this sentence here. Okay, so the subject here is definitely interviews. Why? As I mentioned just now, go and find the verb. Now here we can find the verb are. So we know that the subject is interviews. But the interviews is in plural form. Hence, the verb that you should be using are all plurals. So if you say interviews are one way to collect data, the next verb that follows it has to be in plural form as well. So it's allow researchers, not allows. Okay, do not put s because s is for singular. The same thing here, an assumption. So when you have an, it means that it is only one single thing. Okay, so words like and an, a, and an, it basically means one thing. Okay, so it's always singular. So an assumption is something that is generally accepted as true and is an important consideration when conducting a doctoral study. So we know here an assumption is one thing, hence it's singular. Therefore, all of the verbs that you are going to use throughout the sentence, which refers back to the subject, has to be written in singular form. So an assumption is something that is generally accepted and is an important consideration when conducting a doctoral study. All right, so all of your verbs has to be consistent if and by following the subject itself. All right, moving on now, rule number five, we see that when a phrase comes in between of subject and verb. Now when we say phrase, it means that it is a string of words. Okay, it's more than one word. Okay, so strings of word. Okay, for example here just now, I thought you guys subject, verb, object, and idea, am I right? Okay, so let's observe the first sentence over here. The students, as well as the committee members, is excited. So if we look and observe the first sentence here, try to break down in accordance to the subject, verb, object, and idea. How to do it? We go and find the verb first. So here in the sentence, the verb is obviously is the stative verb. So we know that anything that comes before it perhaps is the subject. Okay, but now let's observe the subject. The subject should particularly be the students as well as the committee members. Now the problem with this phrase or this subject is that the actual subject is actually the students only. Now, as well as is not the same with and. Okay, and the conjunction and is not the same. So if you say the student and the committee member, then your verb should be are excited. But if you have as well as with the actual the actual subject that we're talking about is only the student. So the student is singular, hence the verb that you're supposed to use is is. Okay, so if you have a phrase, a string of words in between the subject and the verb, like the student with the master's degree, okay, we're not looking at the master's degree, we're looking at the student only. So the verb should be singular, is very motivated. Okay, right, so rule number six. Rule number six, when two or more singular nouns or pronouns are connected by the word or nor, we have to use singular verbs. Okay, so if you have in the subject itself, go back again on subject, verb, object on an idea. Go back again on that. Okay, so let's have a look at this example here. The chairperson or the CEO approves the proposal before proceeding. From the sentence, we know that the verb is approves. Am I right? So anything that goes before it should be the subject. So if the subject has or nor in between, you have to use singular form of verb. So we say the chairperson or the CEO approves the proposal before proceeding. All right. So or nor, the verb has to be singular. Now, why is it singular, Miss Farah? It's because when you have a sentence like that, it means that it's only one person, but you're not sure who that person is. So it's either that chairperson or that CEO, him or her, me or you. So it's actually one person only. The subject is actually one person only. All right. Moving forward now, rule number 7. Rule number 7, when a compound subject contains a singular and plural noun joined by or nor, the verb should agree with the part of the subject that is the closest to the verb. Now, it's similar to what we have here in rule number 6, but the difference is in rule number 6, both are singular. Okay, remember, rule number 6, both has to be singular. But for the seventh rule, okay, so the both of these subjects, one is singular and another one is plural. If we have that, if we have one singular and one plural, what do? We have a look at the verb. So the closest noun to the verb is what you have to follow. So here, the student or the lecturers write. Why write? Because the lecturers is plural. So it's the closest to your verb here. Hence, your verb has to follow this every day. All right. What about the second one here? Now the lecturers is before. The student is the one that is closest to the verb now. So you have to follow, the verb has to be written in singular verbs. So you need S. So the lecturers and the lecturers or the student writes every day. Got it? So if you have two subjects here, one is singular, one is plural, go and find the one that is closest to the verb. Got it? Right, let's have a look at rule number 8 now. Now for rule number 8, it's very easy. If you have the words each one, either, neither, everyone, everybody, anybody, anyone, nobody, somebody, someone, or no one, these are all referring to singular verb. Okay, so for example, each of the participants was willing to be recorded. Everyone is happy. All right, so for these words, it's all referring to singular noun. Hence, you have to follow singular verb. Got it? Okay, rule number 9 now. There are some words that cannot be counted. Okay, so uncountable nouns. Okay, uncountable nouns. Some nouns are very abstract and we cannot count it. And for those nouns, we have to use singular verb. Okay, words like education. Can you really count education? I don't think so. Okay, so, but you can count level of education, or you can count the number of degrees. That is something that you can count. Okay, but education is the noun education, it cannot be counted. Hence, it has to be or to be written with a singular verb. So education is the key to success. All right, diabetes, okay, it's a disease, if you can say it, illness, so that cannot be counted as well. So diabetes affects many people around the world. Okay, all right, so rule number 10, in sentences beginning with there is or there are, okay, the subject has to follow the verb. Okay, so there are two ways here. If the sentence starts with there is or there are, you need to go and find what is it written after that. Okay, so here there is referring to administrative support. So support is very uncountable. You cannot count support. 1 kilo support? No, I don't think so. Okay, so you have when it's uncountable, it should be singular. Hence, there is. All right. What about the second one? The second one, the main subject here is actually factors. Okay, so factors we can count 2 factors, 3 factors, 5 factors. Okay, so when you can count it, you make it as plural because there is an S over there. So there are many factors. Okay, there are many factors affecting teacher retention. All right. Okay. So rule number 11, for rule number 11, when you have fraction, when you have percentage, when you have quantifiers like all, few, much, some, the verb will agree with the noun that you're referring to. Okay, so for example here, the first one, okay, the 1/3 of the article. So article is the noun and the noun is singular, hence is taken up to, right? Another example, 50% of the job, one job only, so your verb has to be singular, is routine. Okay, what about plural now? So let's have a look. 1/3 of the students. So the plural here is students. Hence, it's plural. So 1/3 of the students, the verb that you use has to be plural as well. Have graduate degrees. Okay. 50% of the computers, plural, have CD-ROM drives. Okay. All right. Now rule number, this is 11, so 12, okay, I knew something was wrong there. So rule number 12 here, all right, so when the fraction, percentage, or even infinite quantifiers like all, few, many, much, some, okay, sometimes it depends on the context of it, okay. So for instance, family could refer to your family members, so it's plural, but sometimes it referring to one collective family, one family, that family, okay, so it's singular. All right, sometimes you need to ask people more about it. Oh, do you mean this family or you mean that family? You mean that furniture or the whole furniture? All right, some words can be slightly confusing and you need to ask more about that from the person who's saying it. Okay, so next rule we have, when you have expressions about time, money, or distance. Okay, this is something that a lot of people did mistake with. Okay, a lot of people do not know this. So when you use something that is referring to money, to time, and also to for distance, for example, 10 ringgit. Okay, it has to be singular. Even though 10 ringgit is more than 1 ringgit, so basically, miss doesn't that mean it's plural? Okay, it does not work like that. For time, money, and distance, it all takes a singular verb. Okay, so 10 ringgit is a great deal of a money to a child. So 10 kilometers is too far for walk. 14 weeks is not enough for a course. Okay, so it has to be written in singular form. Now the next rule that we have here, when you have a sentence that have both positive and negative subject, okay, the verb has to agree with the positive one. Okay, how do you know it's negative? How do you know positive? Let's have a look at the sample and example. Here we say, or we have here, the people of New York, but not the mayor, have decided to hold a party. So here we see that there are two subjects over here. The subjects over here, there are two. How do we know there are two? Go and find the verb first. Anything that goes behind it is subject, or we can assume it's the subject. So we know here the positive one is the people of New York, and then the negative one is not the mayor. How do you know it's negative? Because of the word not. Okay, so the people of New York, people, P-E-O-P-L-E, it's always plural. Okay, people is always plural. So the people of New York have decided. Okay, let's observe the second example here. It is not the fault of my sister, but the burglars are responsible. So here the positive one would be the burglars, but the negative one, not the fault of my sister. So it has to use, or it has to follow the positive one. So burglars are S, hence it's plural. So your verb has to be plural as well, are responsible. Okay, do you get it? Okay, moving on. Now, when certain words, certain nouns are automatically plural by nature. Okay, so certain nouns like glasses, pants, pliers, and even scissors, they automatically are plural. Except, okay, except when you put pair of, a pair of glasses, a pair of pants, then only you use singular. If you're not using it in that context of a pair of, okay, you have to use plural verbs. For example, my glasses are missing, okay? But if you use a pair of, you can use singular verb, okay? All right. Now, you also have to be aware that some words that end with s behind it is not necessarily plural. Okay, some words are automatically a singular, or because it's just how it's being spelled, like words like news. Okay, news does not mean that it's new with an s. It means that it's just spelled that way. Okay, news is. Or certain words like measles is a type of illness or disease. Okay, measles is also spelled with an S. It's how it is being spelled. Okay, right. So now you have heard my lecture on different rules of subject-verb agreement. Now you should know which sentences are correct. Okay, again, pause this video and hopefully you guys will be able to compare before and after. Okay, so let's have a look. Okay, I hope you guys pause this video and then actually try to do it based on what I have mentioned, or I have told you guys about those rules just now. Okay, all right, so I hope that you guys have done it. Okay, now let's discuss which sentences are correct. So, for the first question here, the students and the lecturer are in the classroom. So here, the reason why it is are is because of the conjunction and. So when you have the subject, okay, when you have more than one subject and it's being paired or it's being combined with the conjunction and, the verb has to be a plural verb as well. Okay, now what about the second one? So for the second one is obviously is. It's because if you have a string of words, okay, in the middle, okay, between your subject and also your verb, the verb has to follow the actual subject itself, which is the student. All right. Okay, and lastly, for the third question, is actually all sentences are correct. I'm just playing with you guys. So for the first one, we see that the student or the lecturer, so both of the singular here are both of the subjects here are both singular. So, and it's being combined, or it's in between the word or, so your verb is singular. right? What about the second one? The student or the lecturers. So here the lecturers are plural, so it needs to follow the one that is closest to the verb. So lecturers is plural, so your verb is also plural, are. And then the same thing applies to down here, but the noun or the subject that is closest to the verb is actually student, and student is singular, one person only, so the verb that you have to use is. Okay. All right, so now practice time. Okay, in order for you to get your tennis taken, you guys should listen to this recording, and also you guys have to answer these homework. Okay, so try and answer 10 of these subject verb agreement questions. Okay, so you guys can find the question in the slides, PDF slides that I'm going to give you guys together with this recording. Try to answer these questions, and then only if you watch this video and also you do this homework, then only I'm going to consider you guys as coming or attended the class on in week one's class. Okay, so thank you so much for joining me, guys. Thank you and have a wonderful day. Bye bye.